Some people will say that the House of Reps seem to be more progressive than the Senate in that regard, in terms of consensus building. If you look at, for instance, their vote on the devolution of power, they nearly got 2/3 majority. Looking at their numbers, 210 of them voted yes, and just 71 voted no. If you look at the figures in the Senate, you have 46 voting yes and 48, even more, voting no.
Yes.
So what do you think is responsible for that disparity seen between both chambers of National Assembly?
Well, maybe the level of information that, people have. The point, and I have to make this very clear to Nigerians, there's this feeling that restructuring, devolution of powers and those ones means that you're essentially taking away from a particular part of the country their inbuilt advantages that came through the type of constitution that we have. And therefore, any attempt to juggle with it means, oh, you're going to deprive us of maybe revenue, maybe power, maybe, and all that. But the fact is that that's not it. I think what restructuring, to my own mind, means is changing the structure of this country such that the component units that make up the country do not continue along this path of what, for a better word, somebody described as a feeding bottle democracy, and actually bring a democracy that people contribute, compete with each other, make their best way forward. And those from the northern part of the country who feel that, we're going to be poorer and all that, actually are going to be the richest part of the country. And I'll tell you why. Simply put, in the next 10 to 20 years, there'll be no more use for oil. That is happening. Countries are now moving away from fossil fuels to this. And so, but people must eat. Agriculture is going to be the next frontier, just like it used to be for Nigeria. And where do you really have this? It's the same. No, that's where you have the land, you have everything. So let's just put it this way. Take a country like Netherlands. Netherlands is smaller than Niger State. Niger State is bigger than Netherlands, twice the size of Netherlands. But Netherlands exports agricultural products to the tune of about $180 billion. I don't think Nigeria has gotten up to $100 billion from oil. So you could see the potentials that are there when we harness ourselves properly and move away from this contraption that is today that makes everybody feel that you just have to work for a center that is overloaded, overbloated, and very difficult to manage.
Would you agree that at the heart of all of this is the talk of oil?
There's not, at the heart of the feeding bottle economy is proceeds from oil. That one is it. And that's what we want to change. We want to say, let's move to a knowledge-based economy. Let's move to, and just put it this way. 10 years ago, the top 10 companies in the world with the largest revenues were oil companies, Shell, Texaco, and so forth. But today, the top 10 companies are technology companies, Google, and so forth. So you now see that we're actually moving away from, fossil-based things
to knowledge. Away.
The world is moving away.
But not Nigeria.
We're sitting here, and this whole conversation and this whole thought we're doing is, how do we share what is coming from? When that dries up, and we're just asking Nigerians that it is time for us to think beyond today. Think beyond today.
Do you think that if we did not have to share, because for some people they think it's about the sharing, if we did not have to share, there will be no talk of equity, do you think that this conversation about restructuring wouldn't be so loud?
If you have about what some people say, they say, go back to the 1963 Constitution.
Yes,
why?
You've heard that.
The reason why they say go back to at that time, there was no conversation about sharing. It was about what do you contribute to the center. And there was so much competition between the different component parts of Nigeria at that time. And that is what you can see part of the conversation is going, because they understand that part of this whole thing just has nothing else to do but for people who do not think that they need to move away from their comfort zone.
Is this something you support, going back to the 1963 Constitution?
No, because I really don't think that the objective conditions on the ground today is what is there. I think that we could still think and get up to this. But let me just make a final thought on this. 80% of the problems we have do not come from the Constitution and all that. I think the 80% and more of the problems we have come from the fact that instead of us following the law, instead of us doing what is right, we always try to do what is self-serving, and then we turn around and blame it somewhere else. And I will just give you a simple example with this government. The founding fathers and all the different governments understood that there is a problem because of the ethnic nationalities within Nigeria, and they brought in something called federal character. It was supposed to guide us, to be able to, put us together. Then you have this APC government coming, make appointments, ignore federal character, and when people now say, no, you're treating us badly, you're treating us like we're not part of this country, they say, oh, use the military on them.
I'm sure that the APC will have a response for you on that one.
They can come and tell us what they have done all this while.
We have to thank
Why
you.
is it that 2 years after this government came into place, we have all these problems? That is what is causing the problem.
Well, I know that
they're running away from
this conversation can definitely be expanded, and I know that there isn't enough time for that, but we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily. Senator Einaya Abaribe is the chairman, Senate Committee on Mining, Power and Metallurgy.